One of the interesting things was while the original Night Stalker murders were taking place, they didn't even connect all those murders to being the same person until years later.
Yeah.
Which, and they talk about this in the documentary also, is that the East Area Rapist, that spree kind of got way more media attention than the original Night Stalker killers. The original Night Stalker killings were in Goleta, which were like a very rich, wealthy area in Los Angeles. And in the police department, they had theories that this was all the same person, but it was basically like the media downplayed it because they didn't want the property value of the area to go down. Also, Ronald Reagan was from that area, and they thought it would hurt his presidential run.
What the fuck?
So the original Night Stalker murders were not like were not played up in the media at all. There wasn't a lot of attention on them, and I think in addition to his first kids being born, that also played a part into why he stopped, because he was thinking, I'm not getting the same attention that I was getting when I was the East Area Rapist.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's theories. One of them was that he sort of aged out.
Yeah, but because when they're talking about the East Area Rapist, the police officers who are investigating the case were like, well, he was clearly watching the news.
Yeah.
Because...
And he would react like they'd say, "Oh, he never breaks into a place that has a man home, so he started."
So he does that.
Going
they were
after
like,
couples.
he never breaks into a place that has a dog, so he
Right.
started doing that. And they're like, so it seemed like a guy who loved the attention.
Dude, so many weird things, like the plates on people's back.
That was a weird thing too.
Like,
basically, like he would put a stack of plates on the man's back while he was, lying on the ground, and was like, if I hear the plates rattle, I'm gonna shoot your wife.
What's interesting about him being caught, and is the genealogical, I think I'm saying that right, DNA.
Yeah.
Which basically is, if you've entered into 23andMe or one of those types of services,
Right.
which is one of those services they ended up using, and they have DNA from the crime scene. They could enter it into one of these services. There is a far off, partial match, and then they could go and look into a family tree from there, narrow it down, who's the right age, who's in the right area, narrow it down. They eventually zeroed in on Joseph James D'Angelo, and I believe they got his DNA from his car, which was parked.
I thought it was they got it from like a napkin that he had thrown out. Like they went through his trash.
I remember something about the
maybe it was the car. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
He was in a Hobby Lobby in like
okay,
which is like one of those stupid. I don't even know.
It's
what
one of
they
those
sell.
like fundamental Christian. They're
Is
like
that what it is?
Hobby Lobby. They're an arts and crafts store.
I went in there once because the one in Massapequa is where Sports Authority used to be.
Right.
And I think I went in there to get mom something once, and I was like, "What does this place even fucking sell?" And I walked out.
They're like they're like Chick-fil-A. They're like a fundamentalist Christian.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's something so crazy about the idea that they catch this guy through this DNA.
Right.
And, it's a little controversial because it's the whole privacy,
Yeah.
Like, in other words, if you didn't willingly... Our cousin Matt Comito, or Anthony Comito, I remember one time we were over there, he was talking about how he submitted his DNA. That means you and I are in there somehow.
No. You have to... does it?
Well, I'm saying they could find...
Right.
They don't need your consent. Like, Joseph D'Angelo didn't consent to having his
Right,
DNA.
I know, but... So here's where it's different, is that the person whose DNA they were using did consent. And they weren't comparing that person's DNA to Joseph James D'Angelo. They were comparing it to the Golden State Killer.
Correct.
So the Golden State Killer doesn't have any legal rights when it comes to that.
Correct.
And
Yeah, but the point there is that, okay, we have DNA from a crime scene. Obviously, fuck that person's consent.
Right.
But when you enter it into this thing, everyone, if they don't know that Joseph James D'Angelo is or let's use someone else they might have looked at.
Yeah.
That guy didn't necessarily that
because
guy
that guy
didn't consent to being looked at as a suspect in a thing. You know?
I guess I know what you're saying.
Well, it's not just me. This is an actual argument. Like, I don't feel particularly strongly one way or the other. I think if you could, and again, sorry, last time, I promise. With the Long Island serial killer, they found out the most...
No, I was assuming Long Island serial killer would be coming up a lot in this one.
Well,
anytime we talk about serial killers, it's pretty safe to assume that guy's going to be coming up.
They found the last victim they identified, Valerie Mack. They used this method.
Yeah.
They had her DNA from one of the crime scenes. They put it in, and they were able to go after her family tree from there, and they essentially figured out who she was from that.
Right.
So there's a lot of upside to it, obviously. They're just... I just thought I'd bring up, there are some people who are a little bit concerned about, Bill Gates, microchip, 5G, the vaccine is fake. Makes you grow 5 dicks out of your head.
The vaccine is the Golden State Killer.